Guys, welcome to our third video in this scripting tutorial series. So let's just get into it. First off, I'm going to be teaching you guys the in and outs of if statements. If statements, let's just get into it. Let's make a new script and let's name it conditionals. No, conditional statement. No, actually, no. Let's name it if statements. Yeah, that's a lot easier. All right. Now that we know data types, variables, print, let's do some if statements. So let's make our first variable. Let's say local boolean val is equal to true. And let's make a number. Let's say local number variable is equal to 50. All right, perfect. All right, now first off, our if statement. So let's write in a comment, if statement. All right, an if statement only runs if the condition is met or true. So let's just write it first. So if becomes red, and then we write our condition, and then if that's true, then. So first off, let's say boolean value. Okay, there we go. So first the if, then our condition. Our condition is if boolean value. So this has to be true in order for this to run. So here we go. Let's do an example first. So print number variable. So if we have number variable, we print out and it prints out 50, right? The other scripts are printing out as well, but yeah. Now, let's say put in this if statement. If boolean value, so if it's true, then print out number statement. But we're gonna make this false. So let's see, does it run if the if condition is false? Nope, it did not print. So basically an if statement only runs if the certain condition is met. You're going to use if statements a lot. If statements are super duper important. So take a look. If boolean value is true, then it'll print out because it's true. This code will run. So if this condition is false, right, then it'll just skip over everything inside of this code block. Every single thing after this then and before this end statement will just not run. However, if it's true, then it will run. So let's say, so even then we can do this. If boolean value, so you might think if boolean value is equal to false, then will it print our number variable? Let's check. Because I said it's only if it's true. So do you think if this condition right here is false, do you think it will print? Nah. Nope. Remember. Oh, wait, echelon. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, sorry. I was mixing it up. Yeah, so it's not necessarily if it's false, it won't run. It's more of the condition. So we're basically saying if is bool value false. Okay, yes, it is false. Then we're going to run this, whatever is inside of here, everything inside of here. Right? However, if I say if bool value, it's automatically predetermined. Okay, if this is equal to true, you don't have to say, But if you want it to be equal to false, you write down equal to false. Remember, in the if statement, when you write down if something is equal to something, you have to put double equals, but everything else you just put regular. So that's the only time you're ever gonna use double equals in the if statement. Like if 50 is equal to 50, not equal to 50, but just double equals, then it'll work. But if I do that, see, look, because there's a difference between setting something equal to something and comparing. So if you're setting like a variable equal to something, you would say, okay, number variable equal 50. But if you're trying to compare, you say if 50 equal to 50, if it's actually identical to this, rather than right here how we're saying this is this, not like they're two. Right here, these 50s are two separate things, technically. And the double equals is how we separate those two. But you will, if you're comparing two different things, just use double equals. So let's get rid of that. So yeah, an if statement will only run if this condition right here is met. If it's not, it'll get skipped over, and that's it. So let's say, if bool value, so let's make a variable actually. Let's do this. Okay, if it's equal to true, so let's make it true. And then let's say number variable, let's define it as 30. Then print out number variable. Let's see what happens. because it was true, it ran through that code, and the number variable was set to 30 because that's what we did inside this code block, and we printed it out. However, if we took the print statement outside of the code block, what do you guys think it's going to be? Is it going to be 50 or 30? Let's find out. Still 30. So yes, whatever line of code comes after this if statement, if I set something like number variables from 50 to 30, once I declare this number variable again, it'll be using this value right here that we set it again to. Because the if statement, remember, it's the same thing as if I wrote all of this, all of these codes, whatever, local variable, local number, whatever, except it's only wrapped around in this condition, and it'll only run if that's equal to true, or if the condition is met, not equal to true, because it can be false, but the condition is if it's equal to false. If you know what if you understand the previous example. So I mean, yeah, that's what the if statement is. Just if the condition is true, all of this code will run. But there's also another thing we can do as well. Drop one line right before the end statement. We can write else, and then boom, else right there. Okay, so let's just take a look. Let's just they say number variable inside this else statement is equal to 800, and then outside of it we're gonna print number variable. Okay, number variable is equal to 30, but I declared it as 800 in this else statement. That's weird. No, it's not. So take a look. Now let's say if boolean value, let's make it false. So now, okay, it's gonna run through the code. Okay, is the bool true? Okay, well, no, we look back right here, it's false. Okay, so we're gonna skip this. Now the else statement. Else, if it's not true, because the opposite of true is false, then we're gonna say, okay, number of variables equal to 800. So this is basically, the else statement is a default callback, basically. If this condition is met, we'll run this. We'll skip this code right here, this else statement. However, if none of the conditions are met, then we'll just go to this default right here. Take a look, 800. Because boolean value right here is false, this condition never ran. The code looked over here. Okay, well, the opposite of false is true, or the opposite of true is false. And guess what? It's false. So we'll run this code right here. And then we can also do this. There's another thing we can do. Else if. So an else if is how we write multiple different conditions. So we can say else if boolean. All right, let me go to this comment. It's annoying. So we'll say else if boolean val is equal to false, then. And it will not add an extra end statement if we use else if, by the way. If you notice that when we write an if then, we have an end statement, but this is all condensed into the if statement. Not outside of it, but inside of it. Or inside of it, yeah. Not on the outside, inside. That's when we use our else and else if statements. So look at this. If boolean value is true, well, no, it's not, it's false, then number of variables equal to 30. The code will not run this. It will check this condition. Okay, well, else if boolean value is equal to false, it is. Then number of values equal to 100. Okay, well, since it is equal to false, we're going to print out, look what the number value is, 800. Awesome. We can write as many else ifs as we want. But an else if, you might be asking, okay, what's the difference between this and else? Well, we can do this. Else boolean number variable is equal to 5,000. Okay, well, you might be saying, okay, well, this is gonna run, right? Because it's equal to false. True, that's true. However, let's say we made this equal to nil. 5,000. The reason why, it looked, okay, is it true? No. Nil, by the way, means nothing. This means nothing at all. This null value, it is nothing at all. Okay, look, is it true? Nah. So we're not gonna run this code. Okay, else if boolean value is equal to false, is it false? No, it's nothing. Okay, we have a default callback right here. Our default. Okay, else, since both of these conditions are not true, then number of values is equal to 5,000. However, you might be saying, okay, well, how come when we put the else right here, it was determining if it's true or false? That's because when we write the else if, we're basically overriding that condition. We're saying, okay, is it true? No. Is it false? No. Okay, well, if it's none of these, then we're going to do this. You see that? However, if I get rid of this else if, it's saying, okay, is it true? No. Okay, if it's anything but true, if it is false, or it's nil, or if it's anything but true, then it'll be 5,000. However, if we put the else if, that's the whole separate condition that we wrote as well. You understand? So we can write multiple. So else if boolean value is equal to false, then number variable is equal to 400, whatever. And then we can write down another else if. There's nested if statements basically, or nested else if statements. Okay, else if, what do we want to say? Boolean value is equal to 500. Then number variable is equal to 600 or 6,000, and then we'll print it is a number. And then yeah, okay. So now it's gonna check. This is gonna literally how it works. Okay, is it true? No. Okay, is it false? Nah. Okay, is it equal to 5,000? No, not at all. Okay, none of these were right. So else, if none of these conditions are met at all, we're just gonna go back here. So I hope you understand how to like nest else or if statements like that. So let's set it equal to 5,000. What's gonna happen when we print? Huh? Oh, that's why. Okay. If Boolean. Okay, I know why. Yeah, it did this because technically a number is true. So like if I made this 0, it would be false. Or is that only in the... Okay, I'm thinking of a different coding language. Sorry. Okay, yeah. If I say Boolean value, also Boolean value is equal to 50,000 or 5,000. Yeah, it's equal to 5,000. Number variable is equal to 5,000. And then print out number variable. If Boolean value. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Numbers. Okay, technically this is true. This condition is running. Because technically a number is true. Technically. So in other languages and stuff, 0 is false and anything 1 and above is true. But in here, it's... Yeah, okay, I see. Okay, if you kind of get it, it's saying if Boolean value, well, is it true? The 5,000 technically is true, technically. It's basically saying, when you say if Boolean value and it's not like a Boolean, okay, this variable, it's basically saying does this even exist? So hold on, if Boolean value, let's make it into the scheme of numbers, okay? So let's say if actually, you know what? Let's do this. So number variable is equal to 5, okay? And local bool is equal to true. Okay, so let's print out the bool at the end. So let's say if number variable is equal to 5, then bool is equal to true. Okay, else if number variable is equal to 10, then bool is equal to false. And then we'll print out the number variable for each one as well, just to know what number it actually is. And then we'll say else if number variable is equal to 15, then print number variable, and then we're gonna say bool is equal to false. Okay. So now we're configuring bool at the end. Let's print out what our bool is at the end. So number variable is equal to 5. So if number variable is equal to 5, then bool is equal to true. So bool will be true. So right here inside of this is from the different code. This is right here, true. Okay. Well, I did set it to default true. So let's see. Let's get rid of this. Let's make it nil. Okay. Look at that. It's true because it's equal to 5. So because number variable is equal to 5, and we said if it's equal to 5, then do this. Bool became true. Went from nil to true. And then now let's make number variable 10. Okay, let's see what happens. It's false. Remember, we said if it's 10, then it's false, the bool value. Okay, so we got that out the way. We know if we did 15, it'd be false as well. So now let's say the else statement. Else bool is equal to nil. Or no, actually, bool is equal to... Let's make it true. Okay, so number variable is equal to 10. Or let's make it 12. Okay, number variable is equal to 5. Is it? No, it's 12. So it's not going to run this code. Okay, is it equal to 10? No, it's 12. It's not going to run this code either. Is it equal to 15? Well, no, it's not. It's 12. Okay. Then, okay, else. If all of these conditions are not true, since they're not, this is the default, bool is equal to true. So basically, any number that's not 15, 10, or 5, it'll become true. You see that? That's why the else statement is so powerful. It's our default callback. So right here, we made it true. Awesome. We can also, by the way, you can also use operators. So like, I can dive deep into this. I'm gonna actually do this with operators as well. So you can use like greater than $, but the one I'm gonna actually show you guys today is this right here. This is like the this like squiggly line in your laptop. This basically means not, and I think it means this type of not. But yeah, it's basically not. So is if it's not equal to 5. So let's say if number variable is equal to 12, then bool is equal to true. Else if number variable is not, actually we don't have to put the not because yeah, okay. Else if number variable is not equal to, let's say, 15, then bool is equal to false. Okay. So what do you think is gonna happen? Okay, it's equal to 12, so this is gonna run. This won't run at all. But even though it's not, this condition technically is true, because this appeared first and this is true, it just skipped this. But let's see it. It's not equal to 15, right? So it's 14. So we're gonna make it, gonna become false. See that? That's how you use the not operators. Basically, just if it's not equal to this, and it's really easy to use. It's really useful too. You can basically use it for like one number things, like okay, if in my game if they press the number 3 or something like that, anything besides 3 is special. If anything besides 3 will be like a light attack, but everything, yeah, but 3 itself is going to be like the heavy or something like that. You can get creative with this. And that's basically it for if statements. I mean, it's just if the condition is true, then the code will run. Else, if this condition is true, then the code will run. And then else, if none of those are true, then this code will run inside this block right here. So I hope you guys understood what if statements were.